Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. In my video, I will be reacting to Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 5. This chapter was a interesting chapter, and I could already tell by these first 5 chapters, like Boruto is not going Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is not going to be like Boruto. Boruto wasn't really that good. Boruto was okay, but Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is going to be even better. Now, even though the manga is good, the key part that's going to make Boruto 2 Blue Vortex good is the anime. The manga itself is just not the key. The anime and the animation of the episodes is going to be key. So if the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex anime is fire, just like the manga, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is going to break record and do numbers. But let's get into this video. But chapter 5 was epic.
Okay, before we dive deep into this chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 5, I gotta ask, is it just me or does anybody else agree that Boruto's design looks so much cooler with the Sasuke-esque hair? Like, I'm just saying, homie, he got the drip, you know? Because the chapter of Boruto takes place in a couple of different instances of time. We get a little glimpse into what happened during the time skip. We go back.
In this chapter, we got flashbacks of Sasuke training Boruto and what actually happened to Sasuke, and Boruto has good drip. And like I said, Boruto, he's a different ninja. Boruto, like, he's smarter now, which is the truth. And it looks like to me personally, Naruto is a genius. Naruto is smart, but I think Boruto is going to become smarter than Naruto. I could be wrong, but Boruto is a genius, just like Minato. That's the way I see it.
Back to present day, we see what's happening with the clone grimes. We go to Konoha for a bit, and we even get a second reunion, I guess you would say, of sorts, for our main protagonist. So a lot to cover, and just in general, Boruto epicness and what some might say peak, although some might disagree. I don't know, but either way, we here.
This is for my day ones, gotta be clear. Still moving on, baby, but I wish she was here. Still moving on, baby, but I gotta get there.
And before we get any further, please, if you would hit that subscribe button and that bell, I'd greatly appreciate it. So off rip, the cover of this chapter starts off with Sasuke indicating that, yeah, we're going to be seeing a glimpse of what happened during the time skip training. For the most part, the cover art was alright. I mean, it was cool to just see Sasuke in general as a fan of the character. It's like, hey!
Everyone deserves a second chance. It can't end like this!
We got Sasuke on the screen. Why not? And at the same time, getting a glimpse into what's happening in the middle of that time skip is also a pretty cool thing, even though I'm pretty sure upon the anime's return, whenever that may be, all of this stuff will get extended and expanded upon. So in essence, it's probably going to be even better whenever the anime returns. And off rip, we are greeted with a Boruto with somewhat of a different look, because in this flashback, we get a glimpse into what was going on again during the time skip where Boruto and Sasuke were training, and we see Boruto with longer Sasuke type esque.
In this chapter, Boruto, like I told my brother, legendary moment was when Boruto takes Sasuke's sword, and I saw, like, now we know how Boruto took Sasuke's sword. Sasuke told Boruto to just go away and to don't forget everything that he taught him. And he said as long as he remembered everything that he taught him, Boruto would basically be unstoppable. So like I said, Boruto, he's different.
Hair while he's training with his master Sasuke. And again, I gotta stress that, yo, that design is cold. I don't know what it is with Naruto manga and deciding to go with the short hair over the long hair, badass look. Although I get it, it's Japanese customs. Apparently it's like a big deal. If you cut your hair, it's a sign of maturity. But yo, Jiraiya was the coolest guy around and he never cut his hair. I'm just saying, I guess we're not really thinking about the cool, are we? But apparently during this time of training, at the very least at this point, Sasuke tells Boruto that he pretty much already taught him everything that he needed to know. Styles, his techniques, and just in general what Boruto has been training up until that point, which makes you question, okay, when did this occur? You gotta imagine potentially maybe be within year 1 because he does reference this year. So it might have been after the first year of them training, Boruto was able to master, or at the very least get a grasp of a lot of the techniques and just in general everything that Sasuke has at his arsenal. And Sasuke even elaborates further, telling him essentially, yo dog, it's cause you a genius, you learned everything very quickly, but you know what I'm saying, don't get it twisted, training ain't over. Obviously, just like with any adventure, just because you finish training with your master, your training of life is not quite over yet, which is insane to think, because essentially Sasuke is saying, while I taught you everything I know, there's still so much more to go, which leads me to believe that, yeah, by the end of the series, dog, we're going to be having Dragon Ball Z levels of attacks and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
and
I see
Boruto
it
during
coming.
this time skip was already at a level of, I kind of know everything Sasuke knows, I just now gotta, master it and refine it. Also, I love the idea of there, once again, diving into the fact that, yes, Boruto is a genius, like his grandpa Minato, just saying. And it's very interesting that this entire chapter, from top to bottom, emphasized on having faith and trusting in things, even if things aren't exactly what they seem. Because Sasuke once again reaffirms that even though his memories was telling him one thing, he had faith in not only his daughter, but also the feelings that were coming to him. Because even though his mind was telling him, hey, I have memories of training my student Kawaki and whatnot, ultimately his feelings were telling him to bet on his daughter and Boruto. Right. So that's a very big aspect that is again carried throughout the chapter, of people having faith within themselves or within something that they strongly believe in. And in this case, it's Sasuke believing in his daughter and obviously his student. And I feel like the transitioning between that scene and what happens after the fact was so sharp that once again, whenever the anime returns, they need to give us full-blown arc demonstrating and going into detail on all of these events, because following that we go to Sasuke, Boruto, and what happened to Code's eye, because it was not Boruto as we previously thought that injured Code and took out his eye, but it was Sasuke who nipped out Code's eye as they were overwhelmed and surrounded by Code and his 10-tailed army. And yeah, this is where it gets tragic. Once again, I'm going to stress that the anime has so much opportunity to do so many great things that they decided they're not going to return seasonally, or they're going to return seasonally but put in a bunch of anime-only content within stuff to pad it out. These are the times to do it, because, yeah, pretty much as they're surrounded, Sasuke tells Boruto, yo, dip, leave it to me, essentially survive. Because despite the fact that Code has been humiliated and embarrassed time and time again, let's not forget the fact that without his limiters, he was said to have surpassed Jigen, and we've seen that when Sasuke and Naruto together fought in unison against Jigen, they kind of got whooped. So yeah, Code probably is still somewhat of a credible threat even then, even though, yeah, he gets knocked around a lot. And while it definitely felt like an emotional scene, again, I gotta stress that Studio Pierrot has a slam dunk right there, because when Sasuke tells Boruto, whatever you do, survive, that was powerful. And Sasuke! It essentially explains what happened and how Sasuke was treeified, because he allowed his student to get away while he stood behind. Although again, I wonder how long ago was that, considering the panels following that, when we cut back to present day, we see Boruto and he's in front of Sasuke when Sasuke's, inside the tree. And you see a bunch of corpses surrounding the tree from the...
That's when Sasuke...
Want to know how I took my business to the next level? It's simple. It's Shopify. Shopify has all the tools in one place to run your business and design
the 10 tails, the 10-tail clone corpses. And also this is explaining how Boruto got Sasuke's sword that we see in the very beginning of the manga, which a lot of this tells me that, once again, Naruto and Sasuke are really going to be scarce throughout the story of Boruto moving forward, because if this is giving the explanation on how he got Sasuke's sword that we see in the very first chapter of the manga, which Boruto is technically even older in that first chapter than he is where we're at right now. Likewise with the whole saying of Kawaki saying, I'm going to send you the way of the seventh, meaning that technically Naruto might still be sealed at that point. Yeah, it looks like they've made a very conscious choice and effort to remove Naruto and Sasuke entirely from the manga. Not only nerfing them, taking away Kurama and the Rinnegan, but just in general, their presence now is going to be very scarce, and I'd imagine they might lean more on referencing them opposed to having them full-blown in the story. But we'll get back to that in a bit. Because then we cut to Konohamaru and is it Team 10, Shigadai and them, essentially looking at Moegi in the tree and apparently saying that she saved a mom and kid that were running late, and showing in my opinion, that was mainly just all an excuse to showcase, hey, this is the, Harley Quinn-looking claw grime. Yeah, that's 100% Moegi, for those that were wondering. So that was mainly a scene to clarify that, because in all honesty, does anybody really want to see Moegi, even if she's trapped in a tree? Also, a very interesting choice of a character to, kind of put into prominence there. Although, I kind of like it. Apparently, these claw grimes can feel what their counterparts are feeling. And yeah, the Moegi one says that they are feeling despair, or deep despair, which more than likely means that this Moegi-looking claw grime is going to allow for Konohamaru to have a deep and integral part in, at the very least, some of the battles to come, because it goes even further, where the Ishiki-looking claw grime says that essentially, when it comes to being connected to these human counterparts, Moegi and the claw grime, they're biologically one. But even though they share a single existence, they still have their own consciousness. And he just starts naming some of these people off rip. He's like, yo, the Moegi looking one, you Matsuri now, I homie bet. But then it starts taking a twist to an unknown territory that I'm like, where are we going with this, fam? Because apparently the Ishiki looking one decides that, yeah, he declares he's gonna eat Naruto. And even though he looks like Ishiki Otsutsuki, which makes you question, well, why does he want to eat Naruto? Is it just out of revenge? What the heck is going on? Like, why Naruto? I'm going to throw in my hat and bet that that's because even though he looks like Ishiki Otsutsuki, he might be a blend of Ishiki and Kawaki, or it might be because Kawaki still has Ishiki Otsutsuki within his body, mate. I mean, even Ada is shocked when she hears that that one wants to eat Naruto. Like, why? And he gives us his reason, and even though
Ada is a problem, Ada's going to be an issue. Someone's going to have to take care of Ada, and I would love to see Boruto fight Ada. That would be so.
Kind of feels like, hey, plot just to keep Naruto relevant in some form or another, despite him not being in the manga. It's because the instinct moving us is changing us too. So they are changing even with this instinct that's moving them, which makes it that, yeah, let's just say plot. Because then following that, Matsuri, aka the Moegi-looking claw grime, says that she wants Konohamaru, which that makes sense. There's a connection between Moegi and Konohamaru. They've been childhood friends. Again, I like that because it's going to put Konohamaru in a position where maybe he might have the fight of his lifetime, and it'll be against Moegi, but it'll give Konohamaru a really dope moment. Following that, the Sasuke-looking claw grime asks Jura, aka the Ishiki-looking one, yes, his name is Jura, like, the juror, the person that is going to be judging things, so to speak. Interesting. And with the Sasuke one asking Jura, who are we? He responds with essentially, don't worry about it, which makes me question, what is he up to if he's trying to tell them like, yo, don't think too much, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about none of that. But by the way, yo, your name is Hidori, dog. Like, he straight up is just trying to take control of this whole situation and not really caring much about the other programs, in my opinion. Sounds a bit manipulative, my lord. And while Ada is watching all of this transpire via her clairvoyance, which essentially doesn't, physically put her there, somehow, some way, the bug-looking claw grime, Bug, remember Bug? The old creep that was with Code, yeah, that dude. He's able to interact with her and tells her that he's going to eat her, which I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of horrifying. That right there was one of the most terrifying parts of the chapter, bar none. It's just like Ada sweetly looking on, thinking she's safe, and then, hey, creepy old dude is like, ah. Yeah, I don't know, it was weird. And if that wasn't weird enough, the Hidori one, aka the Sasuke claw grime, says that he's going to eat Sarada, which again connects something that makes you question other things, because
Baby, it's cold outside.
Because if the Moegi-looking one, Matsuri, wants to eat Konohamaru, they're childhood friends, and the Hidori one wants to eat Sarada, aka, technically the father to Sarada, then why does the other claw grime that looks like Ishiki want Naruto, unless he's connected with Kawaki, which would clearly, we know Kawaki's obsession with Naruto. And that'll also put Kawaki in an interesting position as well, because he's been doing all of this terrible stuff to kind of save Naruto, and in turn, now you got another threat that's going after Naruto. So yeah, bite on that one, Kawaki. And then hey, look, after 5 months at the very least, not to mention the break before that, there's Amado. It's been like forever and a time skip since we've seen him. However, we do recognize almost immediately, or at the very least he proclaims, he's aware to a degree that his memories have been overwritten. For whatever reason, they love to put him and class rep in scenes together in the lab and whatnot. Why not? I mean, technically she comes from that environment, but yeah, they always love to put those scenes together. And he proclaims as he's talking to her that he knows he's the one that worked on Kawaki's body. He's seen signs that are done by him and can only be done by him. And he states clearly that the karma he needs for his daughter is not on Boruto, but on Kawaki. So despite the clairvoyance that, transpired throughout the world, he is not affected by it, which could be a multitude of different things. It could be the same way Sasuke is overriding it by having faith in Sarada and Boruto. It could be that Amado is having faith in the science. It could be that Amado is having faith in himself. Or it could be he's related to, and not affected, therefore, by the clairvoyance. Yeah. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of like, oh snap, because shortly after that, Sai informed Shikamaru on that very conversation, which kind of makes me question a couple of things, because if they shortly into this time skip, which technically we're 5 months in, 5 chapters, but let's just say another 5 chapters into this whole situation, they come to grips with the reality that reality isn't reality, and Boruto is not a criminal that killed the 7th, he's actually his son. It would kind of make for like the end of part 1 of Boruto a little bit null and void, because the whole purpose of what I felt personally coming into this time skip is the fact that Boruto is essentially an outlaw. He can't come back to Konoha. How do we solve and resolve all of this conflict? And yeah, I mean, personally as a fan of the characters and me not wanting Boruto to suffer anymore, I'm like, thank goodness somebody is actually maybe going to listen after overhearing that overwritten memory situation by Amado. But then at the same time, I'm like, it will negate the entire purpose of this desperate struggle of a time skip, but I guess we gotta let that one play out and simmer up a bit, huh? However, Sarada has doubts on Amado, not necessarily on him remembering the truth, because yes, it is the truth, but just in general, we know Amado is a bit of a D-bag, you dig? And she even goes on to explain something that a lot of the fans, including myself, have been questioning, wondering, and just discussing in general on, hey, everybody's memories may have been overwritten in Konoha regarding Boruto, but what about the photographs? What about the news coverage? What about everything that has been right in front of people's eyes the entire time? And essentially it is proclaimed that despite the evidence being overwhelmingly in favor of everybody's being lied to, they just won't admit and just won't come to grips with reality. It's like essentially a firewall blocks them from being able to understand that they have been lied to. And I think that that was a nice touch and something that desperately needed to be covered, because to be honest with you, it was like, as Boruto fans, we just kind of had to turn the blind eye to that whole point of, yeah, their memories are altered, but if there's photographs all over Naruto's house of him with Boruto as a kid, how do you play that out? How do you play out the news broadcast? But if people are so deeply brainwashed to that point, it's plausible. And the chapter ends in what feels like it's supposed to be a little more emotional than I personally felt for it, as Boruto once again returns to the Hidden Leaf Village and is embraced by Sarada with a big old hug. Shippers, you can have fun with that. I personally ain't the biggest shipping fan of Boruto, but have at it, because Boruto has returned to the Hidden Leaf Village again. And part of me is like, I don't know, do y'all want me to feel like, oh my god, considering just about 5 chapters ago, 4 chapters ago, he returned to the village and was reunited? I mean, I guess it was a little different because it was based on action, Boruto standing on business, but nevertheless, it was still a little bit like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to feel emotion here. But it definitely makes me question, considering the fact that Sai overheard that conversation very recently regarding Amado saying that his memories have been overwritten, and informed Shikamaru, the Hokage of the
أنا في صلاتي لا أدعو أن الله يرجع لي بس
لا تريد أن يرجع الوقت.
لماذا؟
hidden leaf of that, maybe one thing might lead to another, where people really start to be able to overcome the programming that has been instilled in their minds, and we might have a big reversal within the next couple of chapters. Either that, or the entire Leaf Village is just going to drop in on Boruto and try to nab him, and he's going to have to dip out into a Blue Vortex. Overall, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 5 was definitely not the biggest regarding progression, but it definitely gave us a lot of insight, gave us a lot of exposition on the Claw Grimes and their motives, finally revisited Amado and what's going on with him, and clearly he's not too fazed by the clairvoyance of Ada. We got to take a closer look into the flashback of what happened during the time skip training of Boruto and Sasuke. We got a cool new design of Boruto that I'm sure is going to be utilized in merchandise, gaming, and all sorts of places of him with Sasuke-esque type of hair. And the little Claw Grimes even got names. moves. Overall, solid chapter. Definitely a lot of things to think about over the next month into chapter 6, but I'm very curious what you guys think about this. For starters, how do you feel about what happened during the flashback with Sasuke and Boruto versus Code and how Sasuke was taken down? Do you feel like it was yay or nay on Code being the one along with his 10-tailed army to take Sasuke down and put him in a tree? Any thoughts or predictions on the Claw Grimes and what they're going to be doing and why that Claw Grime in particular is a Hidari wants Naruto opposed to whatever other connection that would be, and your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of the Boruto story? Do you think Boruto is going to now be welcomed in the Hidden Leaf Village because of what was just overheard by Sai and Shikamaru? That's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. Have an awesome day, and subscribe and hit that bell to get more. It really helps.
Maybe you can see when I'm moving. Never can I lie to the people.